Cosmic has been one of the most anticipated desktops with a lot of reviews, a lot of publicity, and it's fallen off a little bit, and we're going to cover why, the future of Cosmic, and what its current state is. I've been using Cosmic on and off for 7 months. It's a good distro, however, it has a lot of bugs. Some of the things that I think Cosmic offers and that they're really aiming for are convenience. Things like shortcuts, things like preset layouts. So for example, as you can see, this desktop is laid out like Windows. It has features for power users. This is everything from tiling, which we'll cover in a little bit, into keyboard shortcuts, a launcher, so you can type in, you can do math equations in here, which is really nice. And then besides features for power users, it also has a complete ecosystem of applications. You've got Cosmic Terminal, Cosmic Notepad, Cosmic Files, even the wallpaper app is their own program, settings. So everything bundles together, interacts, and integrates well together. And it's a bit buggy still, and that's the main drawback of Cosmic. However, I think once they get this all worked out, and once they have maybe 1, 2 more years of development in, these things would be really well polished. So let's start off with some of the pros of Cosmic Desktop. The first and most important thing for me is making it feel like Windows. So I like having this taskbar here. This looks just like Windows. This is an option you can choose when you set up Cosmic, and if you watch other Cosmic reviews, you'll see that they have this like bar right here. However, you can set it up to make it look like Windows. They have good configuration options. So instead of KDE, where you have to go inside a menu, in a menu, in a menu, pretty much everything is in Cosmic settings. It's well laid out. And then if we go to wallpaper, as you can see, it's easy to change stuff, and they have good preset options. Another thing I really like is the Cosmic Store. On Ubuntu, you have to do extra steps to set up FlatHub, and a new user to Linux might not even know what FlatHub is. Another great feature is that there's no issues with NVIDIA drivers. A lot of other distros, you'll have to go through extra steps and extra work to use NVIDIA. NVIDIA has been something that Cosmic has been good at for a very long time. The launcher is another thing I prefer over other desktops. One thing that they made that I really like is if you do a math operation like this and then a parentheses, and I think they just shipped this, is it used to not work, however, so you used to have to type out something like this. So this is a small bit of polish, which goes a really long way for someone like me. And Cosmic has a lot of that. They've got really nice UX, UI, like user experience and user interface parts, and they have a lot of small details that users want, and I think they have a good like finger on the pulse of what users are wanting. And even though there's bugs, I still feel like they're really involved with the community, even if they're not fixing all the bugs that the community is mentioning. Another example of this is like the Cosmic screenshot, Cosmic files I like a lot. And then if we open up Cosmic Terminal, and we're going to switch to tiling really quick so you can see tiling. So tiling, when we open up the terminal, oh, I opened two, it automatically tiles, and you can move it around so it's like this, as one half of the screen is these 2/4 and the other half is a full window, or you can have thirds. But another thing you can do is you can make new terminal tabs inside each individual terminal, and this is really convenient. You can do something similar to this, where I just learned about this making the video, but you can stack windows on top of each other, and then you've got windows which are tabbed, not just the same application being tabbed. And that's another thing about Cosmic. There's so many of these different features which I found out about making this video. They have things like Windows A. They have features like Windows F for File Explorer, Windows B for the browser. You can type Google into the launcher, which I knew about. However, this is not something I've ever used. And Cosmic has a lot of features like that where they're cool features. I haven't used them, and so as an average user, this doesn't make me think that the desktop is better. It's got all these great features, but for people who are switching from Windows and who aren't interested in min-maxing how they use their computer, This is going to be something that's slowly learned over time, and probably 90% of the nice things about Cosmic, I don't even take advantage of. So these are all the great things about Cosmic. Now we're going to move on to the cons. The first major con for me is actually in this file search widget. So what happens is if I wanted to search for profile on Windows, I would type in .profile. Actually, I'm gonna go in another folder. So if we do test, so if I type in test, it then does a search. However, other folder. So if we go back here and we start typing in test, then we have this. And this is just not something I like. I prefer it like in Windows where it would hover. I like that you can press Control F and then you can type in test and it will search through all your different files. And I think that's nice. I think it going through each directory and subdirectory looking for stuff and doing it very quickly is very nice. However, I wish this only happened once you actually press Control F. And the reason for that is it's in my muscle memory to start typing in test. So I'll type in test, then I'll realize this isn't what I want, and I'll backspace it. Then once I backspace it, it will do this and say no results found because I haven't put any text in here. So that's one thing that really bothers me. That's probably the only user experience feature I don't like. I also don't like the preset options on this panel. I think I'm someone who doesn't change defaults a lot, and that's really great for me when they have things like Windows T as the terminal keybind, because I don't change my keybinds, or I don't change them very often for most programs. However, for something like this, where they have the keyboard layout, accessibility option, Bluetooth, which I don't use, and this power icon, even though I'm on a desktop, all of this, even the notifications, this is stuff that I don't really want. And I feel like you should be able to right click and remove or right click this and edit it. However, you can't right click these to configure it. You have to go into settings. So those are the only UI things I dislike about Cosmic. Everything else is bugs. And there are so many bugs. There are bugs, and some of these are patched now, but for months there's a bug with extracting from zip files where if you open a zip file and then open it again, like if you open it, close it, open it, it'll crash Cosmic files. I used a stopwatch program. I don't know if it was this or something else. Oh, it opened in this tab group. Okay, that's pretty cool. I didn't even know that was a feature. So if I minimize this, what it would do is it would show here, and this is like a preview of the application. And the stopwatch I was using was in milliseconds, and so it would update the screen 1,000 times a second. And my whole desktop would lag, and I think it's because this preview would continuously update. And that's one other thing I found confusing, however I've gotten used to it, is you've got all your apps like on Windows, however when you minimize things, then it shows here, which can be a little bit confusing, especially if you have a lot of Chrome tabs. At first I thought every application would show here for some reason. However, now that I understand it, it's not much of an issue for me. Similar to this, if you minimize an app, it's going to be continuously like redrawing the app as it makes it smaller and smaller. And I think that's why when I minimized apps, it would also lag the desktop. There's a battery widget and it's 0%. I think this is a little bit of a bug. If anything, it could say 100%. It just bothers me having an empty battery icon. This crashes, this panel. It'll just randomly crash. That's still going on. In my past recording, it actually happened. And then there was also a bug where when you installed something like Brave, the icon wouldn't show up. You could say most of these are fixed now. However, there's never been a time where I haven't had any bugs on Cosmic. I feel like my whole experience, it's been one bug or another. One of the bugs was I wasn't able to rearrange my desktop or my displays. So if we go to displays, oh, um, Okay, I think I just found another bug. Let's see. How do I how do I fix this? Okay. Okay, there we go. So you can move these displays around. It was impossible to move them around. So I put in a bug report, and what had happened is each display has a number on it, and with these numbers, when you move them and select them, it'll say 1 or 2 in the corner or maybe the center of the screen. And that makes it really easy to tell what monitor is what when you're moving them all around. So some random person had decided, I want Cosmic to have this feature. So they coded up the feature, submitted it. It worked great. However, it introduced a bug where if you moved it around, it would just break. Like you couldn't move your monitors around. So I submit this bug report and they reverted that change within 1 or 2 days and that fixed it. However, the other bug, like the stopwatch bug or the zip file bug, those were really long lasting bugs. So if you have a critical bug that's going to prevent you from using your system in a very extreme way, then it's probably going to get fixed quickly. Whereas a lot of these minor annoying bugs, you either deal with them or you wait before you switch to Cosmic. For me, switching is a really big thing. I have to install a bunch of programs, and it's a lot of work to move from desktop to desktop. And Cosmic works enough that it's something that I'm going to keep on using. However, it's definitely got a long way to go. I think there's going to be bugs upon bugs upon bugs, and the ecosystem isn't done either. So they're still working on features for all their different apps and stuff. And I had a really high hopes for Cosmic, and they've got some great things like community outreach. They've got a Cosmic developer who's always on Reddit or Mattermost, which is their own Discord or forum server. It's like Slack almost. So they have good community outreach. However, it hasn't lived up to all the hype, literally just because of bugs. I think once they get these bugs fixed, and that's just part of having new software, I think it's going to be a really great experience. Let's see if I can pull up some bugs. So I wish they had release notes too. I think release notes would be really nice. Now let's go to Cosmic Epoch. So this you can see the progress, and these are all the different apps they made. So they made a ton of different apps. And as you can see, there's 1,000 issues. And they're really good about closing duplicate issues. So if we look, and most of these X's, or these gray ones, these are all duplicate issues. So they're like on point with closing duplicate issues. So a lot of these are actual bugs. So they just have so many to go through, and I don't know how they're going to get through all of these. Hopefully they get through a lot of them soon. And once they do, I think Cosmic is going to be great to use. However, it's just not there yet.